building plants in Africa. The Epoch Times spoke with a member of the Tanzanian business delegation attending a recent forum on China-African cooperation. He said a significant portion of the $51 billion of Chinese regime funds earmarked for Africa will go to construct electric vehicle plants. Could these plans be a way to get around recent U.S. and EU tariffs placed on Chinese electric vehicles? NTD's Chris Spears spoke with auto industry expert Lauren Fix.
Well, they've been trying to do that with Chinese car manufacturers building in Mexico. SAIC, Chery, Geely, and so many others are there thinking, well, if we build in Mexico, the cost of labor is less expensive than that of Canada or the U.S., and they'll just bring it across the border. Now, this all depends on what happens in the election. If President Trump is elected, then there's no way they're going to be able to bring these vehicles into the U.S. and destroy our auto industry. On the other side, if it becomes President Harris, then we're going to have an issue with her allowing them to bring in all these electric vehicles, and it will destroy the auto industry, and it will impact the UAW as well as Teamsters, and that's not good for our economy whatsoever.
Lauren, what other advantages would these Africa-based EV plants give Chinese automakers?
Well, what it does is it allows them to say the cars aren't being built in the U.S., but it's also closer to where the battery is actually mined. All the raw materials are mined in Africa. So if they were to take those directly and build a factory there with low-cost labor, they would keep the people employed, so it would look good for, it's like a road and bridges initiative. If they come in and say we're going to do all the infrastructure and we're going to cover it, basically they're saying we're going to build plants, we're going to give jobs. What country in Africa would say no? They'll say, great, bring it in. At the same time, they would be building their batteries there, which would be closer to the manufacturing. So that would actually save China money. But they're also building plants all over the world right now because they know that they're going to start taking over certain countries as far as selling more vehicles, such as Russia. They've already literally taken over the whole Russian car industry, and they're starting to build great strides in Europe as well. So the impact to the German car industry has been quite bad.
Yeah, we do know that Europe and the U.S. is implementing these tariffs, but it sounds like the Chinese EV market is growing despite that. Can you talk about what kind of success they're seeing a bit more?
Well, they're having success because of low cost. They're not having success because electric cars are the answer. The only way to get into some of these markets, especially the U.S., is to come in with low prices. So right now you can see cars that are as low as $5,000 that are electric vehicles that are sold in India or sold in China. And so consumers here see that and go, $5,000 for a new car? That's fantastic. And so what if it only lasts a few years? I'll get another one. And so they know that if they break into our market, that would mean they could potentially take over the whole auto industry. It would destroy the U.S. car manufacturers. Mostly Ford and GM would take a huge impact. And any car brand, which is pretty much all the Japanese and some of the German who build here in the U.S., it would hurt their sales as well.
Now, China's economy isn't exactly doing great right now. You know, they have this real estate issue and a slew of other issues. How long can they sustain this? They're subsidizing the EV market, but is this really a viable strategy for them?
Well, from an economic standpoint, and I have a degree in economics, I mean, this looks like 2009 for China, and they could have a huge negative economic downturn. But because of that, and keep funding all these car companies, of which many aren't even in business. There's tons of electric cars sitting in salvage yards all over China. They all give it a try. They get government subsidies. It doesn't work. From the long haul, you can't have a loss and make it up in volume. That's basic economics 101. They're trying to capture the market, much like how Hyundai and Kia came into the U.S. They came in with the market prices low, took over a bulk of the market, and then they come and they start to raise the prices. That's exactly what China plans to do. But getting in some of these markets has been quite challenging because certain brands and they have squashed and pushed them out, as well as certain governments. And now there's a new proposal on deck right now that Biden wants to ban anything that's made in China, even if that car company is located in Africa where they're starting to build plants. They wouldn't allow them to sell their components and cars here in the U.S. And that's huge. And there's more on that coming. But it's really important to realize that we have to protect our industry, our jobs, and our economy.
All right, Lauren Fix, thank you so much for your insight on this.
Thank you.
In Europe, France, the government is taking drastic measures to manage its soaring debt. It's looking to increase some taxes and make cuts to